Today I'm setting up, and I thought I'd give you a glimpse on how I'm setting up the room and what sort of prep goes into that. So I'm just using my multiple camera rig here to give you a bit of a look around. And so of course we're going to start by the plan is Steve Todd on percussion. Con's going to obviously be up the front, Dave Ross over here, myself, so Dave will be going across, myself, I'll set up my rig right here facing forward, and of course Mario in the corner. Now Mario does all our drums play in this corner. There's a couple of reasons. One, there's a door right here, and this is how we have access to get in and out. And there's something about this position. There is a bass trap right in this corner that I built, and of course the booth behind my vocal booth. There's something about acoustically about this little space in here. I mean, we pack it with guitar cases and drum cases, but there's something about this space here that because this is a proper isolation booth. And really, I mean, my studio here, I built this for singers in here, maybe some loud amps, but nothing really, acoustic guitar. Shut the door, it's airtight, and these are a foot thick walls, properly designed and built as an isolation booth. But while we play, of course, the door is open, and this allows the subsonic frequencies, especially coming from the other corner from Con's bass rig, sort of to go through the drum kit and those low waveforms to sort of get sucked up by my vocal booth. So back to the plan. Drums go in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I just do it all exactly the same. Kick is 1, snares 2, the first 6 are drums, rack, floor, and 2 overheads. And then I start, if Dave is here, I'll give him 2. If he's singing, I'll give him vocals. I'm not sure whether Mario is singing. He's got a beautiful voice, Mario, and he's such a great drummer. I'm sure that you agree. So I'll figure out all those channels as I go, but DIs for keyboards. So we're probably going to need 3. That's my Mackie one as well. Fantastic one, this one. Stereo for me, and 2 stereo lines for Dave. Bass guitar is generally Con's bass amp and head sit right here up against my computer, and these days he's using his Laney rig, so that one will just comes directly out of the Laney head, DI straight out, no problem, just mic lead from his bass head into the rig, either into my interface or into the drop box. All dynamic mics all around. So let me just switch. So all dynamic mics all around, including the percussion. The only 2 condensers we have is the ones over the kit. So that's, the drums, 99% of the time I'm just running 6 channels for drums. 1 for bass, it's direct out of the head. Electric guitar, in this case we have James Mullan playing guitar. So he'll be standing over here playing, and his amp will be sitting up against the wall down there. It'll probably be out of shot, you won't see it. And I'll have a Shure SM57 pointed at it. So that's all I do. There's no, whether he uses a pedal board or not, I just get what's coming out of the amp, and that seems to do the trick. And of course, when I'm mixing it, the camera's here, so I'll be, panning him slightly to a side if that's where he's standing. Of course, bass is always in the center, whether Con's over there or not, but, and kick drums always pan to the center, but, that's the way it is. So, guitar, keyboards are all done, drums, vocals, remember vocalists in this room cannot hear themselves. So, if I switch over to here, the singer can only hear themselves because there's no speaker here, there's no amplification. The singer can only hear themselves with a wireless transmitter and some IEMs or in-ear monitors. So pop these guys into their ears. These are Shure ones as well. And so they've got a bit of foam on them, squeeze, pop them into their ears. Some singers like them. I know Andy does not like them, but he uses them. I mean, how else are you going to hear yourself? You're in a room where the drummer's playing with sticks, cons, you know, he's never soft. And everyone's playing at volume so that you can hear, you know, like a bit of a mix of everyone. Keyboards, myself and Dave are both coming out of my monitors just enough. I don't like to have too much band in here, so I'm never really going to put my keyboards really loud. But and you know, so really, if you want to hear more than what's in the room, especially vocals, you'll need these. So the reason is the singer can hear above all of this, you know, bedlam going on, and so they can pitch better. They don't have to have both in. I think, you know, a lot of singers just put one out. Andy likes to pop one out, I think, and stick it down his jacket and have the other one in. So you can always hear yourself and you can hear the band. It's, you know, and I can give you any mix you like in these. So out of all of the inputs, I can really give you whatever mix, because these do isolate your ears. Once you've got those squeezed and pop them in, they're like noise cancelling headphones that just isolate you. So, okay, in-ear monitors and vocal mics, we are using, at the moment we're using Sennheiser E945s, and I do have a 935 as well. I'm sort of not sure which one I like the best. I think the 945s probably come out a bit better. I really like the rejection of the Sennheiser ones. They're very good too. So look, lots and lots of Shures. It's probably 90% Shure microphones in this room, and a couple of vocal Sennheisers. But that's how we do it. Now I'm going to give you a bit of a look at the Logic session as I'll build it, just to prep for the session before the guys rock up, and give you a look at some of the other nerdy stuff. Are you still there? Let's go and have a look. Okay, pop these back in here. Okay, so audio tracks, ascending input, so I want it to be, you know, I'm going 24 audio ins here, so I want it to go kick all the way through to the thing, and I want them all to correspond with the inputs that I have. So I click on ascending, and I just leave the output to 1 and 2, 24. Duh. So 24 tracks, all in order, just getting rid of that first one. And if I have a look at the mixer, they're input 1, input 2, input 3, all the way through to 24. Now, the tracks aren't named. You must name your tracks. So you'd be crazy not to name your tracks. I mean, if I don't name any of these, they're going to be called Audio 1 when it's a kick drum. I'm going to not know what I'm mixing, what's going on. So always name your tracks. I always do it the same. So it's kick, snare, rack, floor tom, and overhead left, and overhead right. I always put them on 2 separate tracks because they do both need to be treated a little different, just every now and then, depending on what the drummer brings along. Okay, so if you really want to get fancy inside Logic and you want this to look different, you can always hit the icon bar and go to drums and make one the kick drum, and, you know, one snare, your rack, ding, floor, dong, and the overheads. You could probably make them both the same, like a full kit or cymbals or something, you know, full kit looking. So that would mean, you know, that you're looking at icons. It's easier to, you know, to recognize that they're all drums. They're all set up to my inputs, and I know that input 1 to 6 is going to come out those channels, and I even set the inputs on my interface and leave them really where you know, the levels where I like them. But I do have a 6-year-old, and he likes to touch my stuff. He's a great little engineer of his own. He knows all of the inputs and outputs and the actual signal path in this room. His name's Hindley. You're going to see him soon. He'll be taking over the channel probably next week. Anyway, so it all comes into here via into Logic via my interface, which is a UR824. It's a Steinberg interface. Not a really expensive one. It gives me 8 pre's plus 2 light pipes for those guys who know what that means. So it'll give me fiber optic cable input via 2 other sources, and normally that's 8 pre's, 8 so I've got 3 different boxes here feeding 8 channels each into the rig via a USB cable basically. So Logic also gives me the ability to pan stuff around before I record. It doesn't really matter, so I'll always pan the overhead left to the left on the screen and the right. So when I'm setting up the mic, I know that camera's facing this way, that's left, that's right. It's not as the drummer plays, because I know you're going to be watching at home, and is going to work, you know, from right to left, or whatever, however I set it up. So I always mix that way because this is a channel, it's videos. So all right, moving on, I'm just going to go through to percussion on the other side. So let's go keyboards here. So keys 1 left. Here's a trick: copy, select all and copy, paste, right. So there's keys 1 left and right. So that'll be keys here, which will be Dave. He'll have 2. So let's go keys 2. So they're both going to be there for his 2 lines that he's going to give me. And then from that side, I'm going to give Dave a mic. So Dave Vox, which is our rock and roll spec for vocals, Beavers for backing vocals, BVs, anyway, overs for overheads, yeah. So Dave's Vox, remember, I can key code these guys as well, so I know that all of those are keys. I know all of these blues here are drums. Any Vox, I'll just make them orange as I go along so I can pluck them out. So that really takes me up to 11 of the 12 inputs on that drop box. I'm really done there. If I've got one for Mario singing, which I think I'll put there, Mars Vox, and colour that one orange, that will give me that whole side sorted. Everyone's playing, everyone's singing, everyone's plugged in. This side I've got 12 inputs. I'm going to be in the middle, so I might as well feed mine over. So I've got mine will be keys 3. Only 2 for me. And my Vox. Then from there we'll start, you know, the important guys are already out of the way. We'll go for bass, which I always colour brown. I just do. EG for electric guitar, that's always green, and I'll pan him a little to the left. Then we've just got, from there, we've really only got percussion. So I'm just going to go perk left, perk right. And they're also left to right, depending on, you know, how the camera sees them. I know it's right next to my beer fridge, wine fridge, and the sink, and, you know, the coffee machine in the back, and it has a panel next to it, but the floor is sort of a little bit live, and it helps just pop the percussion into the room a little bit. There is, you know, a panel right next to him. I can probably give you a bit of a look at that. This one here. These are all removable panels. Maybe I'll take a risk and take one off and give you a quick look at this. Segway. Okay, watch this. Oh. Okay. I'll make a video about these panels too, by the way. If you've got a studio, this will save you a fortune if you build them like this. This is a standard panel that is 1200 by 600, and this is rock wool or compressed rock wool, so it's quite sturdy, and it comes in, you know, in Australia you can buy a bag of 6 of them for about $100. I have these foam blocks in here to keep the panel away from the wall about 1 inch or more. So it's very, very important to keep it away from the wall. This must not just sit up against the wall. If it's away from the wall, it's going to work 2 or 3 times better than just hanging on the wall. Now think about that. It's very, very important, because the more it's away from the wall, the more frequencies will find their way behind the panel. So anyway, it's just hung there by wire. It's a metal stud, and you're thinking Robocop right now, but it's metal stud. Just get it at your hardware store. And obviously the stud comes in a single piece. They're about $8 for one single piece. You've got 1200, and another 1200. That's 3.6 meters, and you can get the stud at exactly that. You just get you just cut the corners, bend it over, cut the corners, you know, at 60, at 1200, and then you just pop, rivet or screw the sucker together, and you've got yourself a frame. Before you screw it together, slip in the panel, and it sort of flops inside. You've probably got about a finger's notch in there. So it's not, you know, it's not too tight in there, but good enough. I'll put a bit of elastic just to keep the cover on it. This is just a cloth cover. So any colour that you want. And for those who really care and probably noticed, I've changed the colour of my panels to red. So it's really easy to do that. These panels will make all the difference if you've got a room, because this room is really just a room. I know I built it as a studio, as a control room. This was never meant to accommodate a band. It just worked out that way, right? So let me just hang this back up on its 2 wires. That's just hanging on 3M hooks, the plastic ones that you get that you can remove with it. So if you're renting a place, make those panels, stick them on your big hooks, your white plastic hooks that you can remove without taking the paint off. They're pretty light. So, you know, okay. Oh, segue. All right, we're back in Logic now. You can see that I've just about got everything up here, probably looking at Andy's voice as the last element. Input 20, so 20 inputs all up. That's pretty cool. I'll always put a limiter on to babysit the output, and I don't have to run any auxes or anything like that. I can put reverb on there if I want Andy to hear reverb. Because my Steinberg interface has its own software, I can always this gives me 4 separate mixes. I can always dial in whatever mix for his ears that he wants to hear. So this is how I mix the in-ear monitors using the software. If I didn't have software for my interface, I could use Logic and its separate outputs. So really, you know, it wouldn't be that complicated to set up a couple of mix windows that did it. Plus I have, you know, multiple screens. So that's the basics. The boys are going to turn up soon and I'm going to make a huge mess. Have to put my whirly in the booth and chairs and stuff and move my rig around before they get here and get the stands and leads out.
1, 2. Okay, so we're listening to the camera, which is my iPhone 12. And at the moment, we're just sort of working it out. We're about to do a test take. We're to test the audio, see what it all sounds like. And as usual, Andy and myself are wearing in-ear monitors. No one can hear the vocals amplified through any speakers. Only keyboards are coming out the speakers. So my Logic session is basically muted every channel except for the vocals, which are fed out outputs into IEMs. Okay, we've finished our first little test, audio test, and I come over and sort of unmute all of the tracks so we can have a listen. And once I'm happy, also visually, that all of the waveforms are nice and strong and everything looks good, then we'll basically move on to doing a couple of serious takes before we're all done. Sounds all right?
A couple of times we're done.
And after the mix down, and after I color grade the video a little, restripe the video in Logic with my new mix, it all comes out sounding like this. Of course, there will be a mix video for this. Make sure you see it. I'll tag it at the end. Thanks for watching.